To comprehend the history of this universe, we must examine a profound structural paradox. An absolute creator entity, possessing limitless existential power, deliberately dismantled its own omnipotence to be born as a flesh and blood infant. This entity is known as Michael of Nebadon. He is the presiding creator son and the architect of the local universe we inhabit. His origin is mathematically exact. He is the direct personification of the 611,121st original concept of infinite identity, a simultaneous creation of the universal Father and the eternal Son. He wielded the absolute spiritual gravity of his paradise origins. Yet 1900 years ago, this descent functioned as a calibrated cosmological mechanism, a structural bridge required to link infinite spirit with finite biology. There is a central axiom governing existential deity. Unearned divine power is absolute in potential, but it is experientially incomplete. When a creator son first organizes a universe, he exercises what is called initial vicegerent sovereignty. He wields authority provisionally, acting solely as a representative of the universal Father. This creates a vast epistemological gap. A creator born in absolute perfection cannot natively comprehend the lived, time-bound struggles of the imperfect evolutionary beings he created. Therefore, cosmic law dictates a strict mandate. Supreme administrative authority over a universe cannot simply be inherited, it must be experientially earned. To achieve unquestioned rulership, the creator must cross the threshold of existence and structurally become the creature. Earning supreme sovereignty requires fulfilling an immutable cosmic law, the completion of 7 distinct experiential steps of bestowal. A creator son incarnates through 7 concentric levels, inhabiting his creature's forms. On each tier, he executes the deity's will, proving his fitness to govern. Stepping downward, he restricts his innate power, trading existential authority for the constraints of lived experience, ending in material flesh. The goal of this demanding process is a complete transformation. It elevates a provisional vicegerent into an unquestioned master son. The 7th and final incarnation, the terminal bestowal, is the irreversible mechanism that completes the sequence and seals his universe sovereignty forever. Executing this final step requires breaching a massive metaphysical barrier, known as personality absolutism, a condition that naturally restricts a paradise son from direct interaction on material planes. To bypass this barrier, celestial physics employs an undisclosed technique. It is referred to in universe records as the secret of sonorington. This is the actual structural reality behind the phrase, "the Word made flesh." It is the mechanism by which a divine, infinite personality is perfectly projected and contained within strictly finite parameters. Through this process, Michael's divine personality was encased within the restrictive lattice of a human mind and the frailties of physical biology. This state required total subjection to the laws of time, space, and the finality of biological death. Incarnation is a severe structural surrender to cosmic physics. It is the literal adoption of creature nature rather than a temporary costume worn by a visiting deity. Urantia held a unique initial status. It was chartered as a decimal planet, meaning it was one of a few evolutionary worlds specifically designated for experimental life modification. But its development was severed by a catastrophic system-wide insurrection known as the Lucifer Rebellion, which isolated Urantia from standard universe communication circuits. The world was further crippled by direct betrayals. The appointed planetary prince, Caligastia, joined the rebellion, and the subsequent biological uplifter, the material sun, defaulted on his planetary mission. These cascading failures resulted in a strict planetary quarantine. Urantia was plunged into profound spiritual darkness and severe evolutionary confusion. Yet this isolation provided an ideal crucible. A world experiencing maximum rebellion, sin, and darkness offered the mathematically exact cosmological conditions required to test the ultimate limits of a terminal bestowal. For millennia, human theology has deeply misunderstood the purpose of this terminal bestowal and the resulting crucifixion. The historical record refutes the primitive concept of penal substitution. The Universal Father is not an angry sovereign requiring a blood sacrifice to appease his wrath or buy back his favor. The true planetary mission was a revelation. It was designed to provide an unfiltered, experiential demonstration of the Universal Father's matchless love to an isolated and wayward realm. Suffering and death on the cross were never a payment to God. They were simply the physical medium through which absolute divine mercy was experientially demonstrated to the entire universe. The physical death of the incarnated Son marked the exhaustion of the human experience, completing the full arc of a mortal lifespan. When he uttered his final words, "It is finished," it was a statement of literal, cosmological fact. The seventh and final experiential step was definitively closed. This completion triggered an immediate transition in his cosmic status. He evolved from a vicegerent creator into an unquestioned master son. He assumed supreme sovereignty over his creation. Provisional rule ended, and he was finally vested with all power in heaven and on earth. The political result was immediate. The grip of the Lucifer rebellion was broken, and the apostate planetary prince was formally judged and stripped of his planetary authority. Through the grueling mechanics of the sevenfold bestowal, the existential creator definitively and permanently became the experiential god of the Nebadon universe. Michael's resurrection and ascension introduced immediate changes to the spiritual physics of Urantia. The primary planetary result was the pouring out of the spirit of truth upon all flesh. This spirit operates as a permanent planetary circuitry, a spiritual gravity designed to draw truth-seeking minds upward toward their creator. This circuit acts as a preparatory layer, retuning the human mind to accommodate a direct connection with paradise. With sovereignty fully established, Michael now facilitates the universal arrival of thought adjusters, individual fragments of the Universal Father sent to live within the human mind. This represents the objective cosmic reality of your existence.